Hello everyone, today we want to show you a little bit about Russia. My name is Andres Cárdenas. I am 23 years old. I was born on the 1st of August of 1996. I'm studying social communication and journalism. I live in Facatativá and I love animals.
I am David Castiblanco. I'm 70 years old. I'm studying social communication and journalism. And my passion is soccer. I was born June 21.
Russia is the largest nation in the world and borders countries in Europe and Asia. Its first settlers were Eastern Slav tribes. Its founders were Viking tribes who called it Kiev Rush, and that over the years will adopt the name of Russia. There are monuments dedicated to different characters in Russia history. Princes like Ivan the Terrible, like that of the Romanovs, to Tsars like Peter the Great, and more recent representatives like Lenin, Stalin, Gorbachev, Yeltsin, or Putin.
You can travel around the cities of Russia by bus, train, taxi, private car, water and air transport. Fast electric trains generally take passengers to the city center fast and with a scheduled flexible fare. Tourists arrive by plane, although sometimes they also prefer boats. Otherwise, planes are used to transport from one city to another in Russia. In another case, from one country to another. The same boat, although it is also used for tourists while through their sites.
In Russian transport, we can also find intercity buses, Uber, and taxis that transport people to their destination.
Red Square, place of residence of Vladimir Putin. Its name derived from Krasnaya, which means red, in ancient Russian, which meant beautiful. Inside in Lenin's tomb, as well as the monument to Minin and Posharsky for their role in defending the country against the Polish invasion of the early 17th century. The Star Bell melted in the 18th century and is still the largest in the world today. It weighs about 202 tons and more than 6 meters in height. He's never been placed in a church and never sounded. Empress Anna Leonova made the decision to build in 1813.
We can also visit Lenin's mausoleum, where they expose their body emblem to the public, and additionally, we can go to the Lower Park and do see an amazing collection of golden fountains.
Reason. It offers a rich historical and cultural heritage with nature mountain steps and a vast territory that makes it the largest country in the world. Between this is Moscow Kremlin, Red Square, Hermitage Museum, which because of its beautiful architecture grabs the attention of the public. Therefore is the cause of the constant visit of a larger number of tourists.
We can also visit the Palace Picture Hub, Casa Cathedral, and the Bolshoi Theater, highlighted for the Baroque style. Their traditions have been forged through their history, and these are the smiles and the way of being of each people. They give flowers to their celebrations and festivals.
Visit a house if Joe is invited to a Russian house. It is normal and it is good manner to bring some gift. The most common is a bouquet flowers. The next is a choice. Entering a house or apartment in Russia, people take off their shoes and put on some slippers to be at home and not dirty the floor. The next is a tea. A guest in a Russian house will almost always to invited to eat, or a leas share, a tea or coffee. It has a lot of typical dishes of the country, as Russian's climate is almost always cold. Most dishes are consumed hot. Typical Russian dishes are shashlik. The shashlik Russian prepared a base of a little lamb, simply on skewers, and cook it on an outdoor grill with a little oil. The next is a pelmeni, Russian dish made from bread, dough balls with stuffing, with a little milk.
Traditional Russian music is often dominated by a special song, characterized by the warmth of the voice timbre which comes out of the chest, unlike the diaphragmatic singing, and by the use of open vowels. Russian men wear trousers, pants, a shirt usually with an oblique collar and a belt above and boots. It is also common for them to wear a woolly hat.
French neoclassical architect born in Charlotte, who worked mostly in Russia. He studied at the former Academy Architecture. His first major project, the Lyceum of Odisha, did not materialize due to financial problems. His design for the Manic of Moscow and the Fountains of Moscow were also abandoned. The detached piece was put to the foot as a door, and there it remains.
The Tsarkolokol is an enormous bell that is exhibited in the Moscow Kremlin, Russia. It is the largest bell in the world, weighing 202 tons, with a height of 6.14 meters and diameter of 6.6 meters. Commissioned by Empress Anna of Russia, niece of Peter the Great for Ivan the Great's bell tower. The bell was broken during a fire in 1737, and in 1836 the Tsarkolokol was placed on the support next to the tower of the bell tower of the Ivan the Great.
Born in Balagna, Minin was a prosperous butcher from Nizhny Novgorod, Russia, who became a national hero for his role in defending the country against the early Polish invasion of the century, when the popular patriotic movement for the organization of a volunteer corps in the city was formed. City traders chose Minin, a respected trusted member of the Guild to oversee the use of public funds donated by them. Them to form and equip the Second Army of Volunteers. He died in 1616 and was buried in the Cathedral of the Archangel of Nizhny Novgorod. A central square of the city is named after him at that of Prince Pozharsky.
Red Square is the most famous square in Moscow, in the commercial district known as Kitay Gorod. It has 330 meters in length and 70 meters in width, adding an area of 23,100 square meters. The name of Red Square doesn't come from the color of the bricks that surround it, but is due to the Russian word Krasnaya, which means red, but in the Old Russian it means pretty. That is the pretty square. Even the third of Russia cleaned the place that was full of wooden buildings, and the new square reserved as a place for markets, later for public ceremonies, proclamations, and even to crown the Tsars.
He was the Tsar of the Russian Empire and King of Poland between 1825 and 1855. He was the son of the Tsar Paul I and Maria Fyodorov, the Tsar of Russia, belonging to the Romanov dynasty. He acceded to the throne in 1825, succeeding his brother Alexander I of Russia by virtue of the resignation of a second brother. He renamed the park and Alexandria Park after his wife Alejandra, born Princess of Russia, and gave it to him.
And finally, the lower park. This is located inside the Paternov Palace, which is a set of palaces which were the residence of the Tsars and which is now the site of cultural interest due to its Baroque architecture. This lower park has miles of fountains and an extraordinary view. Now let's compare the cultural places that we saw next. Okay, Red Square is bigger than Lower Park. Since the Red Square is a big block that covers many square meters and the Lower Park is since much smaller than this hog block. Lower Park is more beautiful than Tsar Kolokol because the Tsar Kolokol bell is just an old bell. While in the Lower Park, you find thousands of beautiful golden fountains and addiction to the natural. The history of the Tsar Kolokol is more interesting than that of the Red Square because the history of the Red Square was only a reconstruction of square, while the Kolokol bell was commissioned by a princess who suffered damage due to a tragic fire. Maslenitsa, known as Butter, Creperie, and Cheese Week, is a religious or folk festivity. It is celebrated during the last week of March. On the first day, you are welcomed to the scarecrow of the Maslenitsa, made by hand from straw in accordance with the Kostroma tradition. Later, in the take out in procession, while the public distributes empanadas to the poor, and the last day is known as the Day of Forgiveness, Voskresenie Broboti. This day consists of visiting family and friends and making peace in addition to making gifts, deliveries, and as a final point, the holiday, the scarecrow catches fire.
This day is a holiday and no one works. On this holiday, the soldiers who fought against Nazi Germany are remembered. Large parades of the Russian military corps are held in public squares. This is in commemoration of veterans and victims of war.
Many people gather to celebrate this pagan festival. This day has many traditions. It is mostly known as the Night of Mischief. Children make water fights and make jokes most of the time about purifying water. In some religions, Ivan Kupala's night is considered the first day of the bathing season, which is when weather temperatures rise in rivers and lakes.